Okay, everyone, and hello, and welcome to a big weapon skill extravaganza. I did a little bit of searching on the internet, and there are a lot of questions about these armor skills, but no numbers. So, who better to go out and spend 10 hours hitting a training dummy to figure it all out other than me? If you just want the values, you want the cards, I have them linked down below in the description. All I ask, that thing. Kojima was right. We live for likes. Otherwise, stick around for the video. There's a lot of information here. Charge up, punishing draw, critical status, critical element, Charge Master, which is 2 skills in one because it affects status and element. We're going to be going over all of them starting now. Okay, so Charge Up. Very strange skill. Let's go into and look at the decos to start, because I think that'll help contextualize everything. So it is a deco on its own. It's a level 2 deco. It says increases your power to induce stun when you hit a monster with a hammer's charged attack. This does not affect Great Sword. It has to be hammer. I checked it anyways. I have the information there anyways, but that's it. My testing has it at 30%, but that's not everything, because you could run Charge Up, but it's a level 3 combo deco. It's a little weird. It's like kind of cheap. If anything, I would say the secondary boost should be 2 points, because base, it's only a level 2 deco. It's not a level 3 deco. Whereas if we take a look at Slugger, that's a level 3 deco. I guess it doesn't get any of its own slashes, but then it's also found on other things. So let's take a little bit of a look at the data. I compared everything to what I believe is the best KO attack on the hammer, which is the uppercut. So I guess I'll just go ahead and we can uppercut this training dummy just to show that, I don't know, it KOs things. I could go back in and out to test it a couple times, but I'll just show you it does KO things. And then you could always check to KO it without anything on your own. You'll find, usually it takes 3. The reason it only takes 2 is because our normal uppercut is 45. With the current combination of decos that I have, I've got Slugger 3. I didn't even put Charge Up on here. Okay, I do have Charge Up with KO 2. So Charge Up, KO 2, more than caps the KO value on the uppercut. Instead of 45 stun or KO, we're getting 68. It's not very efficient. The only benefit there is at our KO2 value, our base KO2 value, we're still getting decent returns on every attack that's not Charge Up. So it's going to more than cap. It's going to hit the cap of 68 when we've got Charge Up KO2, but then KO2 is still going to give us additional value. My opinion, my advice, I don't really like it. I don't think it's very good. I think it's a waste. I think you're better off going in any amount of incremental KO, 1, 2, or 3, because that affects everything. If there was no limit, if we could stack Charge Up and KO 3 and it went to whatever value that would be, I think like 85, then it would be amazing. But because there's this artificial or whatever imposed hard cap of 68 on there, I just don't think it's really all that worth running. Maybe in the future we'll get additional combo decos that will make Charge Up a little bit more interesting. There may be some very niche hammers that you want to run and you exclusively just want to try and get as many KOs as possible. And so, you want to do kind of what we're doing, Charge Up KO2 to max that out, or maybe Charge Up KO1 to max it out, and you're just going to spam uppercuts all day long. You could do that. For me, I don't think I would ever run my setup like this. I would rather run something up else other than charge up, but it is a option. Okay, next up is Punishing Draw. Punishing Draw is relatively straightforward once you get down to the exact KO values. Punishing Draw 1 may as well be useless. I mean, you can see the data. I think it took me 33 hits in order to finally KO something. Using Punishing Draw 1, it does appear to be the same across all weapons. But you can see there's kind of like increasing returns to scale. Your first point is very weak. Your second point adds 8. Your third point adds an additional 8. So if you're running Punishing Draw 3, you will actually get relatively consistent KOs. It'll probably, because this guy's been KO'd once already, this will probably take maybe like 10 hits to do it. I don't know that it's ever really worth going out of your way to putting any more than maybe 1 point. So like this Gypcero's Greatsword already comes with 2 points of Punishing Draw. It does have a level 1 slot, taking it from level 2 up to level 3. And if you're just spamming draw slashes a lot, I could see that. Otherwise, just the base level 2 will probably be good enough to get you 1 KO and then completely ignored afterwards. One thing that is interesting to note is I believe in Monster Hunter Rise, your charge level on the Greatsword did increase the stun value from the Punishing Draw. That is no longer the case. Also, in some games, I think you would get multiple hits of Punishing Draw, like on an Unsheath attack from like an Archdemon Dual Blades. Also not the case. It is always just the very first hit, and it's exactly what that value is. I guess I should mention, you do get some bonus raw. If you are exclusively doing a crit draw build, I guess it's okay. I would say that's more for fun and will certainly almost never be meta, but if you are very much in love with the crit draw playstyle, then this is probably worth using. Okay, Critical Status. The often neglected, maligned, deformed brother to Critical Element. I know it felt like for the first 2, maybe 3 weeks of this game's release, all people were talking about was how much they hated Critical Element. Didn't like it, didn't understand it, didn't think it was any good, and we'll get there. But we'll start with Critical Status, which is to say, at 3 points, it's okay, but then you got to put 3 points in. You know, with Hammer, with Greatsword, with Hunting Horn, I would say, you know, it's one of those things like in a group, I could see the value. In the group, if, you know, you're doing your sleep or if you're doing your para or whatever it is, it's likely to be triggering often enough with how much affinity we're even getting before Title Update 1 that it could be worth it. 40% is a big value. Only issue is this Binder Mace, the base para isn't very big. So in this one instance, probably we'd be better off. Obviously, we're going for like more of like a charge up build on this one. Just as an example, you'd be better off putting para attack in first and then probably doing the para boost, only because we need a greater flat value. Let's see if we even have that. So this would do a lot more good. Again, I don't know that I would even want to run that. You know, you're getting base 50 flat, then an additional 60% on top of that. That will start getting you even more paras. You'd probably want to just keep doing spinning bludgeons if you were to try and use this in this way. I don't even think I would want to use it. But if you did on Hammer, that would be okay. Greatsword, I think, has a much better time of it. It has a pretty good sleep Greatsword with good status values base with Nursilla. The Gypcero's Greatsword is actually very good in terms of its base value. You know, base value of 50. is really not bad. So that is another situation where crit status could be relatively helpful. I think I do have some data here. In case you want to see the data, there's some weird rounding sometimes. Dual blades, especially, the base values are so low with status that I kind of had to guess. Could be higher, could be lower. Things are rounding up by like one number, so don't go crazy. Okay, critical element is up next. Not too much to say here. I'll put my numbers out. Scaling is slightly greater on the heavier weapons. It's not as high on the faster hitting weapons. You know, weapons that would normally get more of an elemental value don't get as big of a boost. So things like critical element seem to give a bigger boost to make up for the fact that element isn't as big of a ratio on the weapon in the first place. One thing I'd say about critical element is there's never a reason to max it out. You get the same scaling at level 1s, 2, and 3, so it's not like you get increased scaling or decreased scaling another point. If you could fit in 1 point, that's fine. If you could fit in 3 points, that's okay. Barring anything in terms of a very specific build, I don't know that with this return on an investment, it ever makes sense to pick. I mean, if you ever have any other skill, you'd be like, well, I don't know whether I'd want this skill or whether I'd want critical element. 9 times out of 10, I would say you're probably better off just going with whatever the other skill is that you want, unless you have something very specific that you're trying to go for. Okay, next, very interesting thing. Charge Master. How interesting is this skill? For status? Not really. So Charge Master on weapons that gain charge levels, so bow, greatsword, hammer. I don't think there's anything else. If I'm missing one and it's blindingly obvious, I'll update the description. Is that? I'm going to check right now. I'm going to check live to see if this affects Insect Glaive. Okay, I just did a little testing live. I don't know how much it matters because there's only the one move on Insect Glaive that would even get affected by Charge Master. I mean, Hammer has all of its charge moves and Mighty Charge. Greatsword is obviously affected by everything as well. Bow is affected by everything as well. Insect Glaive, I cannot in good conscience recommend Charge Master. But if you have a reason to use it, it does work. If I'm missing anything else, I'm sorry. I did not think it would work. Could it work under Lance? Assume that if it has an actual charge level, it may work. But there's no other weapon in the game that relies on charge as much as hammer or greatsword or bow. So don't use it. It's not, especially for status, it is not good. It's not good at all. Do not use it on status. Bow, the values may seem higher, but this is the same situation as dual blades where we're talking about a 1 point difference. So as a percentage, it seems much higher. But in reality, it's like, I could have just said +1, +2, +3. I mean, it's not that good. It's not good at all. So don't use it. In fact, that might be technically incorrect. Let me take a look at the actual value here. So these values are accurate for bow, but just look at the raw data. Look for under bow 3. Again, we're going from 15 to 16, 15 to 17, 15 to 18. It's easy to test because bow does a fixed amount of status every single time and it hits every single time. But even then, you know, if you're going in hard on para or poison or sleep or blast or whatever, you're way better going off the base scaling decos than going for Charge Master. Now, one thing that is good though, Charge Master with Element. Now, this is one of those skills where I think that the scaling, to me, almost reminds me a little bit like Rise. Because in Rise, I think the first point was like 10%. I think it went 10, 15, 20. Now it's 15, 20, and 25, which means like if you just squeeze 1 point on, that's pretty good. You know? Great sword, hammer, again, technically Insectlave. You're getting some very impressive scaling. You know, the one downside is for hammer, the most element you're getting is out of the spinning bludgeon anyways, and that's not going to be affected here. So you have to really keep that in mind if you're really trying to spam out elemental damage. Your best move is always going to be trying to combo into spinning bludgeon. So this will be something that will kind of scale on top of that. I would only ever go 1 point on hammer. Likewise, greatsword, you could go more, but just because of your opportunity cost, I still wouldn't think you should ever really go over much more than 1 point. You're not getting amazing scaling, right? Like even at level 3, I would have expected it to be like 30%. It's not even 30%. Your level 3 isn't even double of level 1. So to me, you should only use level 1. Now, I do want to point something out. And this isn't directly related to Charge Master, but it's a little related to Charge Master. I wanted to do a little bit of a follow-up on Convert Element. I just wanted to double check something. I remember when I was doing my testing, I did test using just Dragon against Blongo. And I thought this was going to be very interesting. So one thing I wanted to do was test out Convert Element against Blongo. So we've got Convert Element activated. I was using a set that I'll show off in just a moment where I was starting with a Gypceros Greatsword, and now I'm switching over to Arkfeld Greatsword. Remember, Blongaga does not take any dragon damage. He takes 0 dragon damage across his entire body. Doesn't take any. I think the way Convert Element actually works is it doesn't matter what elemental damage you deal to the monster. It like just procs off on its own anyways. We should see it right here, I think. Yeah, it procced on its own. So there was 280 damage there. And the weapon I'm using has, because it's like Convert Element level 3, an absolutely absurd amount of Convert Element on there. It's got a ton of dragon. I'm not saying this is worth it. I think overall we would be doing way more damage against him if we were using a Fire Greatsword. But if you're fighting something that doesn't take a lot of elemental damage anyways, and for some reason you wanted to keep using Convert Element because you like the ability, you can just keep using it anyways. You can use Dragon anyways and they'll die. And I'm not bragging about this Blongo time. It's literally just a Blongo, but I think it was like 2 minutes? It was something like that, something absurd. So not a speed run. It wasn't even an attempted speed run. It was just trying to test out Convert Element. Update your data sets. It's just max out the element. No matter what element they take, it will proc. I almost feel like that might be a bug. Who can say? Who can really say? And who can say what is in store for the future of this game? So before I run away, I do want to show off definitely not min-maxed pieces by any means. These are both crafted pieces. You could definitely do way better with, well, actually, I don't know. You could probably do better with the actual dragon weapon. I don't know if you could actually do significantly better with the status greatsword, right? I don't know that greatsword Ardian weapons actually get that much more poison, but maybe it wouldn't matter. I don't know. But with that in mind, this is how I have a little setup set up in case you want to copy it and use it for yourself. The idea is you would start with your Gypceros Greatsword, you'd get a KO, you'd probably get a poison, and then hopefully by then you can start proccing Convert Element and then switch over to your main dragon, and then hopefully you're fighting something that's weak to dragon. But even if they're not weak to dragon, you're going to get a lot of dragon here. And again, this is almost like Strong Blast, Elemental Blast. If the thing takes 0 dragon damage, you'll still deal blast. I haven't done enough testing to say whether or not this would actually deal more damage than an actual blast weapon, or whether you'd just be better off focusing raw, or whether or not you'd be better off focusing the specific element. I'm just saying that from a perspective of maxing out a reasonable amount of dragon damage without hitting that elemental cap, this is going to get you a lot of procs. So enjoy it. Thank you to all of you for watching and enjoying this video. Thank you to our tier 3 and tier 2 Twitch subscribers, as well as our YouTube members and all of the other Twitch subscribers. It's not required. I am retired, but it is appreciated. I'll repeat again, I just don't go on social media. To me, it's just not worth it. You know, everything I feel like is designed to make you angry or sad. And I want to feel that. I want to feel angry or sad. But if you are on social media, you want to share this video, I'd appreciate it. If you don't want to do that, just clicking the little thing helps. I would appreciate it. There was a lot of content in this video. I've been trying to do shorter and longer videos, and I just keep doing longer and longer videos. I do want to say I read as many of the comments as I can. You guys have a lot of great questions. I wish I could answer everything with as much detail as this. A lot of times I just give an answer in the comments, and if I don't know the answer for sure, I say, this is what I think, but I haven't tested it. Or it might be, I don't think I can make a video on it, but I have tested it, and here are the results. Okay, so that's it for me for now. Again, thank you all so much for watching. I appreciate you. See you next time. Goodbye.